Chad Archibald to the table. This is Gray for modernhorrors.com. How are you doing today, Chad?
I'm doing pretty good, I'm just working on trying to get Antisocial 2 ready for Fantasia.
Yes, well...
And it's we're still, it's that hot off the press.
I was going to ask you about that eventually, but I guess why don't we launch into that? Tell me a little bit about Antisocial 1 and 2.
Antisocial 1 was the first film that we did with Breakthrough Entertainment, and we had kind of gone into their office and just pitched the idea of, what if social media started turning people into zombies, which is, kind of what it does. And they loved the idea, and we went into production, made Antisocial 1. Cody Callahan directed, and me and him worked on the script, and it did pretty well. And the studio came back and asked us to do a sequel, and we had a lot of fun making it. And there's it's such a great topic to dive into more. So yeah, we decided to do a second one, which is much different than the first, and it's kind of in a very we went in a different direction than I think most people will think. So we're excited to actually see how people react.
Yeah, and now here in the States, I'm not sure if it's the case all over the world, but here in the States, you can see Antisocial on Netflix, and the movie actually stars the same person that you got back for The Drownsman. Is that correct?
Yeah, Michelle Milette. We worked on Antisocial 1 with her, and it was her first feature, and we had such a great experience. When we did Drownsman, we were casting 5 female leads, and she came in and auditioned with everyone else, and everyone, loved her for the role, so we had her back.
Great. So tell me a little bit about the genesis of Bite.
So Bite is basically... kind of got the idea from my fiance's sister came back from Guatemala, and she was covered in bug bites. She was in the jungle there doing some kind of animal sanctuary work, and I was so amazed that she had so many bites all over her body, just in this weird jungle where it's like there's still species of bugs that you don't even know about. So yeah, I just had this idea of like, what if someone ever got bit by this weird bug that no one's discovered yet, and how would it react with someone's body? So it's kind of the horror version of getting some bug bites in a tropical place.
And how did you find Elma Begovic? How did that casting process go about?
We had about 5 days of casting for Bite, and went through a ton of different people, and she stood out as soon as we saw her. She has such a unique look, and again, even with Elma, it's her first lead in a feature. So, we reached out, we had callbacks, and she was great, and she's such a lovable person that it was such a pleasure to work with her. So.
What led to your decision to start the first half of the film in a found footage perspective and then switch over midway through?
Well, I thought it'd be fun to... The idea behind the movie is that this girl, Casey, goes on a bachelorette trip with a few of her friends to Costa Rica. And while she's there, they're having drinks and trying to act a little wild. They go off the resort and they find some weird lagoon, and they all dive in, and that's where she gets bit. So, it's a trip. It's we wanted to start it off like something a little unique, and we wanted to kind of go back to it and reveal a little bit more of that story throughout the film. So we decided it would work best if we just did it as if it's like her home video. And I'm not a huge fan of found footage, like full found footage films, but when it works, I think it works, and I think this was one of the opportunities that we could utilize the found footage style and make it work with the rest of the film. So throughout the movie, she actually goes and like plugs in her camera and watches footage from the trip, and it reveals a little bit bits and bits of more of the story.
Yeah, I agree. You used the technique to actually tell a story, which was the way I think it should be used more often, I believe. Can you tell us about the design of the film? Specifically, there's a lot of interesting design elements as Elma changes and her apartment becomes more of a kind of a hive.
Yeah, we built this set in a kind of old sign shop, like an old auto body shop around the corner from my house. So we built the entire apartment so that we could go in there and basically turn it into a hive and not worry about destroying someone's house. So it's we went in there and we kind of wanted to create this idea visually that this house would slowly transform until it was just covered in what looks like a giant cockroach. So all of our colors were cockroach colors, like browns and oranges, and we kind of said, pouring honey in front of a flame, like those kind of like nice amber colors. And then, of course, she kind of grows that way as well, so that she almost blends into her background. As people enter this house, it's like you almost don't even see her. And yeah, I mean, just as far as her look, the same idea. Like, we just wanted to kind of create a disgusting creature, and Elma is such a beautiful girl, and it's such a nice contrast for horror fans watching her go from, her happy and pretty in the in Costa Rica into this horrible creature that she eventually becomes.
Can you describe the effects process and who did the effects?
We had a team of about 4 or 5 people, and they kind of, came and went throughout the film. But it was headed by Jason Drushi from the Brothers Gore, and he did he created all the makeup and whatnot for it. I think it was like, between 3 and 6 hours that she was in makeup during her kind of final transformation. And yeah, she would basically just come in the morning, stand there, and these 4 people would just start spraying her and slapping glue and makeup and everything on her, and eventually she'd walk on set as this horrible creature. But I mean, we used tons of different processes on her, and we really wanted to keep the film like as practical as we can. Not tons of CG or anything like that. And even with the whole set, it's covered in eggs and goo, and it's always dripping and moving, and it was a filthy set to be on. The entire crew, like after the first few days of working with the goo, they gave up on wearing or hoping that any of their clothes would still be good after the shoot, because you would walk in and it was like birds were crapping on you. Like, there's just stuff falling on everyone. Everything was covered in goo. Like, as much as you tried to keep clean there, it's filthy. It was filthy. And I mean, when you watch the film, it's I think you can really see how gross it was.
Yeah. Now, I'm not familiar with the Brothers Gore. Have they done any other notable films that we would know of?
Yeah, they did Monster Brawl, Exit Humanity. They actually did Drownsman as well, and Antisocial 1.
Yeah. Okay, I'm familiar with those. So, do you think there will be other films in the same universe as Bite?
I don't know. I mean, it's doing really, really well for us. And I mean, everything so far, I've been blown away at people's reaction at this disgusting little film. I've been getting reviews coming in. We haven't actually premiered the film yet, but the reviews, they're so funny to listen to, because they're all like disgusting, horrible. I read one today. There's like vaginal spillage, like just the words to describe it. It's so funny that if you weren't a horror fan, you'd probably read these reviews and be like, this sounds like the worst film ever. Why would I ever want to watch that? So it's I was surprised. We are premiering at Fantasia, and it was in the first 12 films to sell out its screening. So I mean, I never even actually got a chance to buy additional tickets for people, so a ton of our crew can't even go. So I mean, I'm blown away at the response so far. People's interest in this film. I mean, it would be so much fun to do another one. We had tons of fun making this one. So I mean, if the interest is there, for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about your upcoming film? I see called The Sublet.
Yeah, so The Sublet we actually filmed right before Bite. It was directed by John Ainsley, who's one of the writers from Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. And we worked with him, and it was actually in the same studio, the same auto body shop that we had built that set. And it's going to premiere after Fantasia, so we've kind of been focusing on Antisocial and Bite, just kind of getting our world premieres set up and focused on those. And as soon as Fantasia's done, we're really going to start pushing that film. I'm excited. The trailer will probably come out in August. Stars Tiana Nori, who did a fantastic job. But it's I'm excited to actually start pushing that one.
Gotcha. Can you give me the one-line pitch about what the film's about?
It's basically a new family that rents this sublet. That it's kind of mysterious circumstances that they get in there, and the husband, like, it's very psychological. It's like a lot of it is about the main character, Tiana's character, who's at home a lot trying to take care of her son, and there's this room in the place that they're not actually allowed to go into. It's always locked, but eventually the door slowly opens, and there's a little crib in there, and her baby just keeps crying everywhere except in this room, in this crib. So she kind of goes in there and starts becoming obsessed with the story of whoever owns this house, and it's kind of a haunting film for sure.
Gotcha. So Black Fawn Films has really started picking up, and now you are the head, the basically the president of Black Fawn Films. Is that correct?
Yeah, me and Cody Callahan own it together.
Okay, and there's also Black Fawn Distribution. Can you discuss a little bit about the philosophies and the differences between those two companies?
Yeah, I'd love to. People are always confused between the two. But Black Fawn Films is basically our production company that makes films, whereas Black Fawn Distribution was created, I think just the industry is a very hard place for filmmakers, and just over the years I've produced, I think, almost 20 features and sold them to the market, and there's a lot of distributors out there that are just, it's not a very filmmaker friendly industry. And I had kind of been put through the gears so many times with films, and, having massive releases and not seeing a cent for them, and, contracts being bad. And I mean, the filmmaker's always the last person to actually see any funds. So, we decided that we were going to start a distribution company and be fair to the filmmakers, have really good contracts, be very transparent with them. Everything that we discuss, we work with them on creating the artwork for the films, on the releases, the expenses. We get our filmmakers to sign off on them. So, there isn't tons of massive expenses that are racked up, which, a lot of distributors do. They rack up their expenses so they don't actually have to pay out anyone, just so they can keep all the funds in-house. So, I mean, we just decided that we were going to try being a distributor that was actually fair to the filmmakers. And we go to conventions, we sell DVDs, Blu-rays, online sales, all in Canada so far, iTunes, and it's been amazing to actually give out checks to filmmakers. And I mean, I guarantee our sales are 10 times smaller than some of the major distributors out there, but we pay out our filmmakers more, and it's fair. It's a lot of hard work, and but I mean, it's very rewarding. I think I wish, I'd hope that there'd be a lot more distributors that kind of pop up with that mentality of paying out the filmmakers so that we can keep making movies.
Yeah, and that does sound great. Now, I don't want you to pick favorites, but if I were to send somebody to Black Fawn Distribution and they could only get maybe one or two, maybe three films, what would you suggest, or what are some gems?
I always get asked this. Our latest one, Horsehead. I love this film. I'm so happy that we actually got to release it. We just released it a few months ago. It's been, festival circuits all over the world. It's from France. It's in English, but it's such it's visually just a stunning movie. It's to do with lucid dreaming. But I mean, I would definitely say go check out the trailer for Horsehead. Disco Path is so much fun. It's about this guy who basically every time it takes place in the late 70s, and every time this guy hears disco music, he turns into a raging psychopath and kills people. But it's funny, it's horror, it's such a well done film. It's a period piece. All the costume art direction is great in it. I know that's one of the favorites for sure, for a lot of people that buy all their films there.
And I know there's one about like a park ranger that goes insane, or
yeah, The Legend of the Psychotic Forest Ranger.
That's a great poster.
And the dude designs who did that one, which that was one of the things that kind of caught our eye first with that film. It's such an awesome poster. And then we were at a convention and we went and saw a screening of it, and oh my god, it was a full theater and people had so much fun watching it. It's definitely the kind of movie you want to watch with like a few people and just laugh.
Gotcha. Now, Black Fawn Distribution only operates in Canada for now. Is there any plans to expand that outreach?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously with a new kind of structure that's a lot different than other distributors, we just wanted to be smart about it and start in Canada, where we have the most contacts and resources and whatnot. And instead of trying to grow too quickly and spread ourselves too thin, we wanted to make sure that we have a good footprint in Canada. But the idea of moving to North America is discussed very often. So.
And Black Fawn Films, where do you foresee taking this company at this point?
We've signed an 8-picture deal with Breakthrough Entertainment. So right now, we just finished the third of 8 films with them. We have another year and a bit to do the next 5. So we just finished a film called Bed of the Dead that was directed by Jeff Mahar, who DP'd Bite and Antisocial 1 and 2. And it's basically about this cursed bed. But it's fun. It's horror. It's a great film. It's just in post right now. We're just cutting it, but it's something we're very excited about releasing. And then after that, it's 5 more films, probably another 3 before the end of the year, and then 2 in the spring. And
I'm sure coming up shortly or at some point would be the sequel to Drownsman. Is that coming?
It hasn't been greenlit yet. I know there's been tons of discussions about it, but I think we just the DVD just came out not too long ago, and we're gonna kind of see how it goes, see how everything works out. It's a challenging movie to make. The first one was very, very difficult, just dealing with water. It's such a massively difficult element to work with on a low budget. So it's something that we're playing with a ton of different ideas and stuff. And if the stars align, it's definitely a possibility.
Wow, that is really great. I can't wait to see Antisocial 2, and Bed of the Dead sounds pretty interesting as well. Do you have anything else you'd like to add or elaborate, maybe about Fantasia or Black Fawn Films?
World premiere of Bite is on the 29th. Fantasia in Montreal, and then the world premiere of Antisocial 2 is on the 30th. Aside from that, thanks, Modern Horror. You guys have been so awesome to us over the years, and it's awesome to have support and
friends. Well, we love Black Fawn, so let's keep the ball rolling. And thank you for your time today.
No problem at all. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.